Barbados, get up.
Good morning, Barbados, good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Morning to you.
I join the chorus in saying to all of you, wherever you are, good morning to you today. Welcome to Monday, the 16th of March, 2026. I'm Pearson Bowen. Always wonderful having you company. Thank you for waking up to keep us company as well. And particularly to those of you watching us on our streams on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, cbc.bb. Good morning. How do you do? Make today marvelous indeed. After all, it's Monday. It's the start of another week with great opportunities just ahead, waiting for you to take advantage of. Remember, as you do watch and you share and you communicate between yourselves, share the show. Spread the love. Bring others along to be a part of our community. And I encourage you, as you do, to talk to us as well. We love to see your engagement. Remember, if you know of something or someone who has a story to tell, because you know about it, we'd like you to tell us about it. And you can do so quite simply by sending us an email. That email address is on your screen. It's morninbarbados@cbc.bb, morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and we thank you for partnering with us in all that we do Monday to Friday from 6 o'clock bright and early in the morning. So have yourselves a great today. I'm looking forward to engaging with you in significant ways today, as well as some others. But how was your weekend? How did you spend your time on the weekend? What did you get up to? Or were you simply confined to bed simply because of the wind and the rain? Boy, did we have some lovely weather conditions on the weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But I also on Saturday took the time, as I'm hoping many of you did, to get out to rock some socks. Remember, as we are preparing for Friday, the day on which we will be rocking our multicolored socks, go into Sky Mall this week. Sky Mall this week is where the Barbados Association of Down Syndrome will be. And so we're looking forward to you coming down from 5 o'clock in the afternoon each day until Thursday to purchase your socks. I encourage you to do so because by purchasing a sock from the Barbados Down Syndrome Association, the monies go towards helping those with Down syndrome and to the association adding value to those who live with Down syndrome as well. Other places will have multicolored socks, but that one spot is that spot that gets the money. Others use it for their benefit. I want to encourage you to go to the Barbados Down Syndrome Association's table and you purchase your multicolored socks. So, I was saying to you, on Saturday, I took the boys. So we were down there in Sheraton Mall and boy, did we have a good time. It was an opportunity for them to interact with those who came. And we really want to thank the many of you who stopped, who didn't just walk on by, but you stopped actually to know more about the Barbados Association of Down Syndrome. And so we want you to come this week to Sky Mall to get your socks. So the boys were there, Christopher and Michael, and they were their mother. We were all selling socks. And it was a really moving moment, quite an experience indeed. So thank you for those of you who are already doing so. But remember, this Friday, you wear your multicolored socks. You get as funky as you want to get. You don't have to match everything. It does not matter. But as you do so, take a picture. Take a picture of video and send them to us. Send them to us here at Mornin Barbados, morninbarbados@cbc.bb, morninbarbados@cbc.bb. We've done this before. You know how we do it. The crew, we already have our socks. We're ready to rock our socks with you. So send us so we can share it with the rest of the world, how Barbados stands with the Barbados Down Syndrome Association. So please, please, please do so indeed. So looking forward to you doing that. Thanks. Get fancy. Get really colorful. Get different. Let your personality flow. And in doing so, you have the conversation with others who you engage with about why. And in telling them why, you tell them about the Barbados Down Syndrome Association. You tell them about the condition known as Down syndrome. You tell them about the beauty of the children and the people who live with Down syndrome and how valuable they are to our community. Remember, the theme is Together Against Loneliness. Thanks. Also, on Friday was the final of knapsack, and we have champions. We have new champions in the boys section, the primary school sports competition. And there they are, the Blackman and Gollop Primary School. Congratulations to you. You stand tall. Continue standing tall. Well done indeed in the boys. The knapsack champions are the Blackman and Gollop Primary School. But in the girls, the story is continued to be written of the prowess of the William Industries West Terrace Primary. They repeat yet again. So well done, young ladies. Well done to all of you. Congratulations, one and all. I had a good time watching you. I know you had a good time running and having the time of your life. Now, coming up today, we're looking at excellence across the region. We will be connecting in just a moment to shine the light on the brilliance of one of Grenada's best. I tell him this all the time. He's one of Grenada's best, Kenroy Batiste. And so he was recently recognized for his contribution to media and broadcasting. We'll talk to him about his journey and much more in just a moment. We'll also this morning be reaching across to Trinidad and Tobago to get a sense of the states of emergency that they've been under, and also to hear from them about the people of Trinidad and Tobago and their view of CARICOM. As you know, we've had some moments in time recently, and so I want to get a sense of what Trinidadians feel about the value of CARICOM. Do they still feel that Trinidad, what do they feel? I'm not going to ask the questions now, but Doris Polo of the Guardian Media Limited, she will join us, and we will talk a little bit more about that this morning. Also this morning, we continue to venture through the campuses of the University of the West Indies, particularly at Cayfield. This faculty this morning we're starting this week with is Humanities and Education. I know you hear the title and you ask yourself, what's that about? What happens in the Faculty of Humanities and Education? Well, they'll join us this morning to share with us the courses on offer to you and how you can enroll in any or all of, whether you major or you minor in whatever ways, what's available in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. They have their taste of it this week. And I'm told there's something going on every single day. We'll tell you what's going on every single day today on Morning Barbados. Also today, the BDF, the Barbados Defence Force, is on a recruitment drive. How will you enlist? What is required to enlist? And why are they having this recruitment drive? We'll tell you in just a little while. So too, we'll be talking a little bit more about how do we find the best communication mode for people who are deaf or hard of hearing or just neurodivergent? How do we really open up our hearts and our spaces so that we're able to have bonding and communication with them? We'll talk to someone about that who has conducted a study. She'll share the results of her study, but we'll also look at the modes of communication that we ought to employ so that they are all included in what we do. Also today, looking at play therapy. Play therapy as a response to those who are autistic. And how do we as adults begin to identify signs of autism quite early so that we provide the opportunity for people who are struggling with understanding and meaning and just fitting in? And how can we have meaningful exchanges with those children? Play is an option. And so there's a lady who looks at that, and she'll join us a little bit more to tell us about the benefits of play therapy right here this morning on Morning Barbados. So what I'll do, because I'm excited to start, is take a break here. When we come back, we're going to Grenada, the Spice Isle.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
When we come back after this break, play the news clip with him introducing his newscast. I'll interview him. We'll go to commercial. And in that first segment, we will. You understand me? After this commercial break, play him introducing the news.
Welcome to Nature's Discount, the ultimate health food store. At Nature's Discount, we have thousands of quality products at great prices.
Hi guys, Dottie here with Nature's Discount, and today we are talking about Solar Ray, microbiome, probiotics, and why you should be taking them.
And we have well over 3,000 amazing products to help you get healthy.
For your health tips, tune in to CBC TV 8 every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for Nature's Discount, sponsored by Get Healthy Incorporated.
98.1 The One, your number one party station. with an audience.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the Grenadian capital, this is Network News for Thursday, March 12, 2026. In the headlines, Grenada Tourism Authority projects record visitor numbers for Spice Mass 2026.
I'm sure he's asking, but oh, hello, how did they get that? Kenroy Batiste is a TV presenter, he's a producer, he's a businessman indeed, and he was recently recognized in the Spice Isle for his excellence in television and media in general. Kenroy, good morning to you. Kenroy.
Good morning, Pastor. Good morning. What a beautiful introduction.
I see we're having a bit of a connectivity issue, but we'll try to get that. Looks like as if it's flowing now. Congratulations to you, first of all, Kenroy. What was it like watching yourself for just a moment do what you do nightly?
Well, I felt honored. I felt grateful for this opportunity to serve humanity. I see it as an incredible platform, inform, educate, inspire. I was so moved by your introduction there.
You're very welcome, sir. And so how many years have you been in broadcasting now?
So I joined the industry in 1995. So in 2026, I'm actually celebrating 31 years.
Wow.
In the field.
Does it feel like a lifetime, or does it feel as though it was just 10 minutes ago when I started? How does it feel?
It feels surreal, that's for sure. It really takes me back to my formative years, because I entered the media pretty young. I entered the media when I was 12 years, when I was in high school. And the rest is history. And so it reminds me of my journey over the years. Mm-hmm. Taking initiative for my growth, my development, pursuing what I absolutely love, what I absolutely am passionate about, and celebrating it over the years. It is humbling. It truly is humbling, because when I started broadcasting in 1995, I was passionate, and I still am passionate after all the though they may have gotten tired, I still feel that, this is my beginning in the industry. I'm now starting to pursue the career. Energy is there, the passion is there, and I'm just embracing it all.
I'm sure there are great stories to be told over those 31 years. As much as is a milestone, it is also just as if you've only just started the baby boy who just walked into the studio at 12 years old. And so over the time, you've seen life in Grenada change and evolve, perhaps for the good or bad, whichever way you choose to determine is up to you. But how would you describe some of the signal moments for you in your career thus far?
Oh, a lot of moments. I've covered political rallies over the years, and the political climate is not an easy one within the Spice Isle. I've hosted a lot of health production, very passionate, life and living. I've also produced over the years in broadcasting, served a dual role. Executive producing a lot of shows, as well as hosting them from time to time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've been providing support not just on air, but also behind the scenes. But a lot of people have known me as an on-air presenter, news anchor, on-air host, that sort of thing. But it's finding the balance, because one moment I can be heavily involved in journalism, presenting the national news. On the other hand, I could be involved in a TV production, mm-hmm. which is full of adventure, which is storytelling, which is health related, which is a magazine style production. And that kind of broadcasting spans both radio and television. So it's a mixed bag. But I have to say, the political rallies have been something else, Mm-hmm. The political rallies have been absolutely something else. But I also enjoy the lighter side of media. Yeah. because I even run a radio show at the moment where it's a magazine style production. We talk life and living, for example. We talk health. We talk people. We celebrate people. That's a big deal for us. Yeah.
You know, we will talk a little bit more about that in just a little while, because I would want to hear from you the things when the camera's lights are away from you in just a moment. But in all that you've been able to do, I know over time there have been moments when you've been recognized, and I really want people to see how you were recognized just recently by the media workers of Grenada. So take a look at this first, and when we come back, we'll talk to Ken Roy about how he responded on that night. Take a look at this first.
Personality of the year is Mr. Kenroy Batiste. Congratulations, Batiste. And we move on to the next category, Best TV News Anchor Presenter. The nominees are Kenroy Batiste, Grenada Broadcasting Network; Troy Gill, MTV; Oslin Crosby, WPG-10; and Tahira Burke, WPG-10. And the winner for Best TV News Anchor goes to the gentleman they always tease. He says the word secondary. Mr. Kenroy Batiste. Best TV News Anchor Presenter. Congratulations to Mr. Kenroy Batiste. Secondary.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The One, your number one party station. With an audience from 18 to 40, we keep you engaged, energized, and entertained. Choose 98.1 FM, The One.
Hey there, it's Mahalia. I want to share something that might be really helpful. If you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, or lonely and have no one to talk to, call Lifeline Barbados. We all face struggles at times in our lives. You're not alone. There's no need to feel ashamed or embarrassed. It's okay to reach out for support. Lifeline Barbados is completely confidential. No one else will know you called. They're there to offer a caring ear and guidance without judgment. And fellas, I want you to know asking for help is a true sign of strength. It takes real courage to reach out. You can also call Lifeline Barbados if you're worried about loved ones who are struggling and you need advice on how to support them. There's a saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, but not everyone has someone they can confide in. That's why Lifeline Barbados exists, to be there for you or someone you care about during tough times. Save this number. Lifeline Barbados is just a call away. Remember, you can reach out whenever you need to talk.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We've connected at the Grenada. Kenroy Batiste is the man. He's a TV producer, presenter, and he is the anchor of the year there in Grenada. And so he's with me online now. Kenroy, you're there. Talk to me about the night. The night. You sat there at your table and you waited like everyone else, and the announcement was made. Talk to me about those emotions that flooded you to hear your name called.
Yes, again, just so grateful to everybody who has been on my journey over the years. I sat there, and obviously I was told I was going to receive the award because I was notified in advance. But hearing, my name, being called on the night was just a rush of gratitude, appreciation, to be in this space, like the media, an extremely powerful platform. And so you are just in awe of, you've been chosen for this path. You've been chosen to inform people, educate people, inspire people, and you were just moved by this opportunity to serve humanity. So I sat in the seat, I heard my name, I walked up, and I was just gutted with emotions of gratitude, of celebration, of humility. Listen, it was spectacular, it truly was. You know, knowing that people appreciate me, people value my work, they value who I am, you know, they celebrate me in Grenada. I am just moved by it all. And it's inspiration to keep on keeping on, like I like to say.
Yes.
And not just keeping on, but keep on keeping on with standard, the maintenance of standard. Because it's one thing to say, okay, you're pursuing standard today, but a month from today, for example, are you still pursuing the standard? So the maintenance of standard is very important to me. Yeah.
Let's talk
absolutely.
a little bit. Let's talk about that and what you've done with this, what is important to you. Because I do know that you do conduct public speaking courses as well, because you believe in elevating the way we deliver. Talk to me about your building of that particular part of your empire.
So I started public speaking masterclass at 2. It's called the Henry Batiste Public Speaking. It's very intense. It's a 12-week program, once a week, for 2 hours, and it's intended to elevate the capacity of anyone who's interested in moving forward relative to public speaking. I tell people, come as they are. Like, you don't have to be at any level whatsoever to join this masterclass. Once you have the public speaking, you can get the support. Right? Because the reality is, Pearson Bowen, public speaking is a superpower. It is. And once you can get a handle on it, it will literally transform your life and livelihood. And, you know, it's not just for people who are broadcasters in pubs and so on. It's for everybody. It does not matter the profession you are involved in. You need it. For example, at the moment, I've already held conversations with a number of schools and so on, because you trust, and they need to be able to handle themselves. Yes. You know, public speaking, I just want to pass on everything I know to people. Does not matter the age of an individual. Yeah, I want to pass it on to ensure that they can provide support to themselves. They can beat fear, like literally beat fear. Because in public speaking, for example, there's a fear called glossophobia. It is horrible with a capital H. And if you don't take charge of glossophobia, it's really going to throw you flat. And I usually tell my participants, in the absence of confidence, glossophobia reigns, and versa. In the absence of glossophobia, confidence reigns. So I'm all about providing support to people wanting to elevate their capacity for public speaking.
You know what's really noble about you is that you could have taken your plaudits, all of your flowers, and just move along smartly, but you've decided to give back. So what is it that drives this emotion in you that you're not keeping it all to yourself, but you're happy to be able to share?
We're here to serve. We're here to serve each other.
We know how this works, folks. This happens so often when we're doing internet connectivity, indeed. Sometimes it breaks up, and sometimes we just have to live with it, or we just have to end it. So here we are, Ken Roy, now. You're about to respond to the question. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. So we're here, person to be, not just perform. And I honestly believe, as part of my being here, I must serve humanity. I must be of support to humanity. So giving back to society, as they like to say, for me, it's being there for people who need my support, whether it is it involves what I am there to pour into people. And so being involved in media and communications, I see this field as one way to support humanity, because the field is very broad. So public speaking, you will find me supporting humanity. Philanthropy and so on, which I do a lot of, supporting children, the elderly, the physically challenged, and the homeless, that too is part of my agenda. It's all about living a life of service, beyond broadcasting, quite literally. And to me, when I uplift people, I uplift myself, literally. That's like a law of life. Whenever you uplift someone else, you are actually uplifting yourself. But you must do so freely. Do so without conditions. Do so because you genuinely love people and you want to see them elevate in whatever sphere of life. So there you go. There you go.
And we applaud you for that. Now, when the lights in the studio go off, lights go off, and so Kenroy goes home to retreat from the rest of the world, the glare of the world, what does Kenroy do for fun?
Quite a bit. Like I tell people, and mind you, let me just put this all there. I don't work hard. I don't believe in working hard. Everybody, I think hard work kills, to be honest. So I'm really interested in working diligently, smartly, that sort of thing. But I find time, I do a lot of hiking. I love adventures. Yeah, I do a lot of road trips across Grenada. I like the beach. Yes, from time to time, of course, I like the beach. I like football. I don't play it at the moment, but I come from a football family. But I like to support the sport. So if there's a game in the national stadium, I will be there to support teams. I will be there to cheer them on. I really believe in providing support to people, and that is inspiration for them. Yeah. So I do quite a bit. Like someone asked me the question recently, do you actually get time to enjoy life? And the question is, yes, I actually do. Because one thing I know for sure, you have to be deliberate about enjoying life. If you just say, I will do, something next week to wind down, it may never happen. You have to be intentional about enjoying your life. And I really want to encourage all of us, find time with ourselves and for ourselves. Yeah? Because when you find time with yourself and for yourself, you actually get to know who you are. And listen, the rest is fabulous, because you can pour into yourself and you can also pour into others.
That is well said indeed. I know you talked about adventure for just a moment, and you explored almost all over Grenada, because you remember that production, Adventure Grenada 473, is it called?
Yes, Adventure Grenada 473. It was launched during the pandemic. Yes, so we did a few episodes of and so on. We've since placed the production on pause, because during the pandemic, you know what happened. A lot of restrictions and so on were faced with, and so we had to put a pause on the production. But the beautiful thing about this is the template is still alive, and it can be resurrected, like I like to say, anytime. And recently somebody brought up the idea and said to me, Kenroy, it's time for you to do this again. So you never know, I may just be relaunching Adventure Grenada in the not too distant future.
We'll keep an eye out for that indeed. Yeah. Kenroy, it has been a tremendous pleasure really talking to you and celebrating your success indeed. You caught my attention quite early years ago, and I'm so glad to see in the journey the way that you've progressed and the way that people are responding to what you're doing as well. You do it very, very well. And I commend you from Barbados for all of the work that you do in Grenada and the excellence you bring to the media space as well. So well done, Kenroy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Person. Thank you so much. And all praises to God. To my mother is like, oh my word, cheerleader number one. And the support, from all my siblings and just the wider Grenadian community. Like, support has been overwhelming on this 31 years. Yeah, like literally this journey over the years. So I'm just grateful. And I just want to say this to people as I wrap. Pay attention, ladies and gents, to how your life feels to you, not how it looks to others. If you do that, you'll find something incredibly amazing about the way you take up space in the world.
Well said. Thank you for that, Kenroy. Kenroy Batiste, TV anchor extraordinaire in Grenada. He's also into public speaking, producing, and much more. He's just a human being. And so we wish you well, Kenroy. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Goodbye, Pearson. Goodbye, Barbados. Goodbye, the world.
All right. Take care. Morning Barbados takes a break right here. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey there, it's Mahalia. I want to share something that might be really helpful. If you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, or lonely and have no one to talk to, call Lifeline Barbados. We all face struggles at times in our lives. You're not alone. There's no need to feel ashamed or embarrassed. It's okay to reach out for support. Lifeline Barbados is completely confidential. No one else will know you called. They're there to offer a caring ear and guidance without judgment. And fellas, I want you to know asking for help is a true sign of strength. It takes real courage to reach out. You can also call Lifeline Barbados if you're worried about loved ones who are struggling and you need advice on how to support them. There's a saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, but not everyone has someone they can confide in. That's why Lifeline Barbados exists, to be there for you or someone you care about during tough times. Save this number. Lifeline Barbados is just a call away. Remember, you can reach out whenever you need to talk.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind the scenes. Scold is a window to everything that is there or is yet to come. Fly with us through time to better understand today and tomorrow. You've always wanted that. Scold, a look into the future.
Our world today is not the world God wants it to be. One of the reasons, which will surprise many, is that our planet, its governments, and its peoples are all living under the weight of Satan's rule. From the beginning of mankind's existence to today, human history is the written record of what it means to live under the rule of the devil. Yet that rule is coming to an end. And what a difference that will make.
Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on CBC TV 8, tune in for Tomorrow's World, sponsored by the Living Church of God.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
25 to 7 now, and as we continue exploring the brilliance at the University of the West Indies at KPhil, last week we went through a number of faculties. This week we're focusing on the Faculty of Humanities and Education. There is also a lot happening in there. Actually, there's a lot happening every day this week. And so as you're trying to make up your mind as to the course of study you shall take, we shall tell you about what's available in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. I'm joined this morning by the Dean of the Faculty, Dr. Henderson Carter. He is brought along with him Terence Innes, who is the Deputy Dean, and one of the instructors in the Faculty of Humanities and Education is Dr. Zoanne Evans. To each of you, good morning.
Good morning, Pearson.
Dean? Let's talk a little bit about the faculty and sell it to people as to why the Faculty of Humanities and Education ought to be a place they start.
Well, Pearson, this is a very dynamic faculty. It has 7 disciplines: language, literature, linguistics, history, philosophy, psychology, and education. And the thing about it, Pearson, is that we have undergraduate studies where students could do majors and minors, but we also have graduate studies so that a graduate can come back, can return to do an MA or an MPhil or PhD. So there's a call out there to lots of our graduates who just have the BA, but you want to go further. For example, you are a teacher and you have a BA, but you want to come back and do a master's in education or go a bit further for a PhD. This is the place for you. But besides the programs, Pearson, we have the projects. So that a student is not just doing a course, but there are associated projects for the student. And there are a whole host of projects. And Terence is going to tell you a bit more about the projects in French and Spanish, but I'm going to say a little bit about history. Because there is a project called the Constant Carmichael Project. So regardless of where you are in the faculty, you can sign up for this project. It's a history project, but not only for historians. So somebody in literature, somebody in language, somebody in psychology can come and sign up for the Constant Carmichael Project. But what is the Constant Carmichael Project? Now, this is a Mellon-funded project where students get to research the history of 2 plantations in Barbados. Constant Plantation in the Valley and Carmichael also in the Valley, and an associated plantation in New York. So it's a research project. But the beauty of it is the travel, the free travel. You don't have to pay a cent. 20 students every year get to go to Boston, Rhode Island, New York, and this year we're going to South Carolina. So last year we had our 20 students going along with their lecturers, and this year we send another 20 students to the United States. So they do their studies here, and we call it a learning journey, an 8-day learning journey. When we are on the road, we hire a bus. And as we are driving through these cities, we're doing the lecturing as well. Lecturing on the road. But the beauty of it is that you get to visit archives. You get to visit museums. You get to interact with what we call our partnering institutions, such as the Bard Graduate Center in New York, UMass Boston in Boston, and of course NYU. We have what we call university partners, so that we go to the United States and they come to us as well. And it's a wonderful experience for students.
When you get to South Carolina, look for the Bowens, okay?
The Bowens.
We are there.
Yes.
We are there. And so that's part of the story that you'll be telling as well. When I hear about the Faculty of Humanities and Education, I keep thinking of not just the human condition, but the ways in which we communicated, the ways in which we lived, the ways in which we did trade, the ways in which we empowered self. All of that is covered within the number of courses and cases of study that you do in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. And I think, for me, it's broader than just the educator alone. It's really for us, because we need to understand from where we've come and that journey to who we are today. And in understanding that, we understand then the next stage of the journey. And that's what you bring out in the student who comes.
Yes, yes.
And I just think it's such a fascinating faculty. Somehow I'm rhyming somewhere there.
You
know, that we really ought to consider quite seriously to be a part of the courses of study in there about the human condition.
Yeah.
And so all this week, this is what we're doing, right?
Yes, we are promoting the faculty. So every day we promote one of the disciplines.
Okay.
So we have disciplines, we have 7 disciplines, and we're going to promote all of them. So the opportunity is for everybody to come and see what we're doing. And we got something special for you. We got an archaeological dig at the university itself.
When?
And this is going to be on Thursday, where students could come. People could come and see an archaeological dig. I'm not sure if we're going to find bones or skulls.
But we're searching.
But we're searching because we're doing it at Cave Hill. And Cave Hill was the site of a plantation called the Mount Plantation. The Mount Plantation, where 295 enslaved people lived in 1834. So we got to be careful if we could find something down there.
That's right. A mode of currency. Would that be fascinating? We come across a piece of pottery that was going for $10,000. You never know.
Yes,
but that's all part of the experience. So that's on Thursday.
That's on Thursday,
and
yes.
it's open to students and the general public.
Everybody.
All right, all of us at what time?
Yes, it goes from 9:30 to about 4.
Okay, cool. A good working day. That's fine.
Yes.
So, Terrence, what else is happening this week? Walk it through day by day, moment by moment.
So, Pearson, we have conceptualized Open Week under the theme Empowering Minds, Reaching Communities. And we're going to start this morning at 10 with an exhibition at the Cindy Martin Library, and Dr. Heavers will speak about this. And we're going to bring quite a few schools throughout the week to participate in that exhibition. At 1 this afternoon, we're going to have a paella workshop. You might ask, what's a paella workshop? Paella is a very famous Spanish dish, and we're going to have a Cuban chef on spot, and he's going to cook and explain paella, and participants will be able to sample the paella that is being cooked today at 1 o'clock at the KFA campus.
But there must have been a reason for the paella, and what it meant at the time and why it's still important as a dish today.
Yeah.
And I'm supposing that story will also be shared.
That story will be shared because Spanish is an integral part of our program at KFIL. And you're going to realize this week we are highlighting, as the Dean said, all of our programs: Spanish, French, Japanese, Chinese, etc. So as I go on, we're going to highlight everything. Sure. So we have the paella workshop at 1 this afternoon. Our next activity, and the exhibition continues throughout the week, our next activity is going to be on Tuesday morning at 10. We are going to have an origami and calligraphy workshop with the Embassy of Japan. And we have just started the study of Japanese in the beginner's level at KFIL. So we want to showcase the talents of our students and to hear a bit more about the Japanese culture on Tuesday morning at 10. So come on over to KFIL. On Tuesday evening at 6, we're going to have a virtual orientation workshop. And this is going to be open not only to locals, regionals, and international persons, where deans and heads will speak to the programs that they have at KFIL and encourage students to come on to KFIL to do one of our exciting degrees, right? On Wednesday morning, we're going to have 2 projects. The first is Let's Talk Linguistics. You may ask, what is linguistics? And my colleagues will be coming here tomorrow to speak about linguistics. What is linguistics? That's a panel discussion with some of our graduate students, and we're going to engage our secondary school students, especially those in English, to let them know what is linguistics, the study of language, etc. On Wednesday, we're going to have what we call Literary Day, and this is in conjunction with the bookshop at KFIL, where we are going to bring in 2 schools, one in the afternoon and one in the morning, and we're going to have a game show and some literary activities with them on Wednesday from 10 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon. On Thursday, we're going to have a Spanish competition for students of Spanish at KFIL. We're going to have that at 10 in the morning. And at 7 p.m., Dr. Yvonne Weiss is going to launch her book, Livingstone.
Wow.
Right? And then on Friday, which is World Poetry Day, we're going to have a World Poetry event at 4 p.m. at the KFIL campus. So we have a whole set of activities that we want the public to come over and enjoy during this week.
And in coming to enjoy, you get a sense of what is taught
Yes.
in each respective course
in
as well.
each discipline.
So you get a good sense of how it plays out and its relevance and its value to you. Because oftentimes we think that education is simply to have the paper at the end of it all. But education is what we apply thereafter. And that's the important thing that you're sharing with us, how we can apply what we've studied in real experiences.
And we have invited this year a lot of our primary school children so that they can see and experience what university is all about, both primary and secondary, so they can experience what coming to a university is about, what is involved in university studies. So that's part of our mission as well.
Wow. Dr. Zuan, as a lecturer, however, you get hands-on as a lecturer.
Instructor.
As an instructor, okay, instructor. What are you instructing in, first of all?
So I teach creative nonfiction and business writing.
Ah,
yes.
You're the literary arts here now.
Yes.
So you teach that in the nonfiction,
yes,
as in being fictional. It has to be fact-based.
Yes, it does, and I find that the students like it a lot. Most of them enjoy the course, and some say it's therapeutic, and they all like the ability to express themselves and to speak about various aspects of their life experience. So, like one young lady, she went to Kadooment for the first time, and she wrote about it at length. In fact, she enjoyed writing so much that she went over the word limit. So, but that was her experience, and I encouraged her to, because she writes very well. That's the other thing. You do come across students who write very well. And we have started having them write in class so that there's not that AI influence so much. And her writing is very good. So I was encouraging her to enter NIFCA. So I hope she does.
So the student who comes to your session, for instance,
Yes.
who are they? Are there people who are into literature? Are there people who just want to be creative, write a song? Who comes?
So it's mainly humanities students for the creative writing course. And then for the business writing course, we get students from across the campus, from SOSI and so on, and pure and applied science, and yeah. So, but the creative writing one is more specialized. It tends to be the humanities students, and we get students from over in the EBCCA, the Creative Art Performing Arts Center. So
there's that sense of cross-fertilization across the campus and the dean. And so let's talk a little bit about the entry points. What are you looking for in terms of qualifications for people to join the faculty?
Well, we're looking for 5 CSEs, including English. That's important. It'd be good for students to ensure that when they come, they have a language, French or Spanish. But if they don't, they can sign on to our language courses. We have Chinese, Japanese, etc. So that they're not missing anything. And language is so important in our world today, because you need to communicate, and you need to communicate with our sisters and our brothers in South America, in Central America, in Europe as well. So we're looking for that for the students who want to enter with a BA to do a master's. It's important that they contact us, because a lot of the work that they do will involve a thesis, and you want to ensure that they can communicate with the lecturers to find out what are the thesis topics available. So for the students who are into the master's program, please contact your respective departments to get a sense of what is there and what has to be done, what needs to be done. And so those are the requirements basically for entry into both the BA program and of course the master's and PhD program. But for the PhD, you may need to have a master's already, okay? And because the PhD is more intensive.
Yes.
For example, in our department, what we call the history department, you write a thesis of 90,000 words, 80 to 90,000 words. That's about 8-9 chapters. And basically is a study for 2-3 years, of intensive work, going into the archives, searching for the records, etc. So I want to appeal to those persons who have BAs already to come back and further their education, because it's important to do that. Sometimes you do it for your own personal good as well. You want to have a sense of achievement, And we have competent lecturers who will guide you through as supervisors. So don't be worried.
Don't be worried at all, you know. And as I keep reminding you since last week till now, knowledge cannot be extracted or taken away from you till you're left devoid of it. You will always have it within you indeed. And sometimes as we exist as people, we need to know more about people and places and things and so forth. And it's that conditions our decisions, it conditions our thoughts, it conditions our expressions, it helps us in so many different ways. But it requires you today to get involved. You need to get involved in a very active way indeed. You pick up the phone, you call the call-in programs, do more than that now. Just take a course of study and build the base from which you will inform your expressions indeed. And so I encourage you to register today to be a part of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. All week long there are so many things happening in the Sidney Martin Library. And so you go to the UWE, ask where is the Sidney Martin Library, they'll point you there, and you go there, you get to engage with all of the faculty members and lecturers and so forth and instructors, and they'll be happy to answer all of your questions, but you get a chance to see how it's done and what is done and its value to you. I encourage you to take that opportunity this week. We'll have more from them tomorrow. Dean, my friend, Dr. Henderson, good morning to you again.
Good morning to you.
Terence Innes, who is the Deputy Dean, Dr. Zoanne Evans, who is an instructor in the faculty as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And thank you for having us.
You are very welcome.
Have a great day.
Likewise. We'll take a break. We're back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
God will not give you a job. God will not call you to do something and then not give you the capacity to have it, to make it happen. He will give you the resources, he'll give you the people. Not only will he equip you with ideas, but he will equip you with favor, as he did Nehemiah.
Turn on the latest episode of Infinite Possibilities, only on CBC TV8, every Sunday at 1:30 p.m., sponsored by Covenant Life Teaching Center.
Welcome to Nature's Discount, the ultimate health food store. At Nature's Discount, we have thousands of quality products at great prices.
Hi guys, Dottie here with Nature's Discount, and today we are talking about Solaray microbiome probiotics and why you should be taking them.
And we have well over 3,000 amazing products to help you get healthy.
For your health tips, tune in to CBC TV8 every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for Nature's Discount, sponsored by Get Healthy Incorporated.
98.1 The One. Your number one party station. With an audience from 18 to 40, we keep you engaged, energized, and entertained. Choose 98.1 FM, The One.
Hey there, it's Mahalia. I want to share something that might be really helpful. If you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, or lonely, and have no one to talk to, call Lifeline Barbados. We all face struggles at times in our lives. You're not alone. There's no need to feel ashamed or embarrassed. It's okay to reach out for support. Lifeline Barbados is completely confidential. No one else will know you called. They're there to offer a caring ear and guidance without judgment. And fellas, I want you to know asking for help is a true sign of strength. It takes real courage to reach out. You can also call Lifeline Barbados if you're worried about loved ones who are struggling and you need advice on how to support them. There's a saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, but not everyone has someone they can confide in. That's why Lifeline Barbados exists, to be there for you or someone you care about during tough times. Save this number. Lifeline Barbados is just a call away. Remember, you can reach out whenever you need to talk.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share?
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we have 4 minutes to go to the hour of 7 o'clock. Just to remind you that today, Monday, the 16th, is Budget Day in Barbados. There was a time in our existence we trembled by the word Budget Day. And so we look forward in anticipation to 4 o'clock this afternoon when Finance Minister Ryan Strachan will deliver the budget. He did say leading into today that, there's nothing to worry about, but we shall wait to hear, to see for ourselves. And you can see it right here on TV8. You can also watch it on our social media platforms, on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on our website, cbc.bb. So to all Bajans everywhere across the world today, tune in for 4 o'clock this afternoon when Finance Minister Ryan Strachan will be delivering the budget which guides the next plan forward for the next year. And so we want to hear and be sure that you don't miss a beat of it, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Of course, it will also be carried on our radio station, 94.7 FM, for those of you who will not be able to sit before a screen to watch. And so we encourage you to listen to 94.7 FM as we always carry the people's business there when Parliament is on. And so that's where you can listen as you go to today's presentation of the budget and inform yourself so that you're better able to navigate life and have a greater appreciation for what's happening in our community. That's at 4 this afternoon, live right here on TV8, live on our Facebook and YouTube streams as well, and also live on radio on 94.7 FM. So don't miss today's presentation of the budget. I shall remind you, and I'll remind you till I go hoarse, that Friday is the opportunity for us all to rock our socks, and it's in support of the Barbados Down Syndrome Association. And it's not just giving money to the association, because the association continues to do phenomenal work for those in our community who are living with Down syndrome. And living with Down syndrome, I say it deliberately, because they can live meaningful lives. The theme this year is Together Against Loneliness, so we want you to join in the cause, join in the effort, and join by purchasing your multicolored socks and wearing your multicolored socks on Friday. This coming Friday. World Down Syndrome Day is on Saturday, but on Friday, we'll get ahead of it all and we shall rock our socks multicolored as they are. Don't forget, you can choose to wear a multicolored green and a multicolored red on different feet. It doesn't matter. That's how beautiful children with Down syndrome truly are. They see life completely different from us. And while for us we might think that's disorder, for them that is perfectly fine. And so they have their own way of expressing and being absolutely beautiful. There's a spectrum to this Down syndrome. Get to know more about it this week indeed. So Friday, let us all together rock our socks. All week this week at Sky Mall, the Barbados Down Syndrome Association will be having their table laid out with socks for you to purchase. And so I want you to encourage all of you to go down to Sky Mall this week from 5 in the afternoon to 7 in the evening, just a couple hours until Thursday, and get your multicolored socks. Get your multicolored socks. Buy it for you, for your mommy, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, and the children. They have some for children as well and toddlers. Let everyone within our community rock our socks this Friday. And in rocking your socks, take your picture. Take a picture. Take a picture of you rocking your socks and send those pictures to us. We want to flood the airwaves and flood social media on Friday. And you send it to Mornin Barbados at cbc.bb. Mornin Barbados at cbc.bb. That's our email address. And we will share it with the rest of the world. The crew, we already have our multicolored socks. And as I promised you last year, I'm not wearing shoes on Friday because you must see my socks. So please do so as well. And we can't wait to see. But you can also tag the Barbados Down Syndrome Association in all the pictures you take and send. Thanks for being obedient. Morning Barbados turns our attention next to the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Let's take a look at the news now. It's Budget Day in Barbados, and the man who will be delivering that budget, Minister of Finance Ryan Strawn, says Barbadians have nothing to worry about. He told CBC News the budget will be people-centered, with measures aimed at helping citizens navigate rapidly evolving external economic shocks.
We really do have to get the economy into fifth gear, notwithstanding what's happening outside, and therefore fear is not what we are here about. We want to make sure that people are comfortable enough to be able to understand what needs to be done to make the country more resilient so that we can understand these shocks. So I don't think the people should fear at all anything in the budget tomorrow, but we should listen carefully.
Well, the minister says government is closely monitoring developments in the Middle East, which have contributed to sharp increases in global crude oil prices, and the recent announcement by Barbados Light and Power Company Limited that electricity bills are expected to rise. Meanwhile, Maureen Holder, executive chairman of the Barbados Consumer Empowerment Network, is hoping that the budget will bring real relief from the high cost of living. She told CBC News that BCEN believes consumers will be looking for measures to ease the rising cost of food, electricity, transportation, and other everyday expenses.
If we look at the Consumer Price Index, which measures changes in the cost of everyday goods and services, we can see over time how increases in areas like food and electricity directly affect the cost of living for many Barbadian households. We're also hoping to hear about greater transparency around cost, particularly in areas like, again, electricity and fuel, because these prices affect almost every household. In fact, they affect the entire economy. At the same time, we would like to see stronger attention given to consumer protection and fair competition so that markets work properly and consumers are treated fairly. So ultimately, I believe, or we believe, consumers would want to feel that the economy is moving in a direction where growth also brings real benefits to ordinary people.
Well, 2 men have been killed in the latest incidents of gun violence, and the police are appealing for an end to gun violence and crime across the country. Public Affairs and Communications Officer of the Barbados Police Service, Acting Inspector Ryan Brathwaite, confirmed that the bodies were found in a grey car parked along Cambridge Road, St. Joseph, around 2:30 yesterday. He appealed to anyone who has information about the incident to contact the police at 211 District F Police Station or 1-800-8477, and he made this passionate plea for peace.
Our sweet Barbados. Crime has an effect on all Barbadians. It has an effect on families. It has an effect on our country financially. Visitors to the island are scared away. People living within the country remain scared as a result of this crime wave. We are all family. We are connected in one way or the other. There must be a better way. to resolve our conflicts. Let us have that conversation. To all Barbadians, I want again to say to you, speak to your children, speak to your brothers, speak to your sisters, speak to your aunts, speak to your cousins. This is not the way that we live as a people. Crime cannot help us in Barbados. We must do better as a people to resolve our situations.
Minister of Educational Transformation Chad Blackman says changes are coming to the culture of secondary schools across the island beginning in September. Speaking yesterday morning at the Power in the Blood assemblies, Mr. Blackman said what was once extracurricular activities will be a part of students' core curriculum.
A number of things you're going to start seeing coming this September in education in Barbados. And one of those things is that for the first time in our history, at the secondary school level, all students must be part of their core curriculum, not extracurricular anymore, integrated fully in their curriculum, be part of either a uniform-based organization, a civics-based organization, or be part of a team sport. Why is that? We're now making sure that they have the values even before they leave school, but at the same time preparing them to lead the world with the values necessary to be able to do so.
Christchurch South have been recognized for their sporting excellence in a lasting way. A wall of honor has been unveiled at Dover, celebrating outstanding sportsmen and women from the constituency. Here's a report from Anesta Henry.
This wall of honor bears the names of several distinguished sporting personalities drawn from various disciplines. Member of Parliament for Christchurch South, Dr. Chantel Monronite, says the initiative is about preserving the legacy of those who helped shape the nation's sporting history.
It will be something that my grandchildren and their children will be able to look and ask questions about. It is that inherent curiosity, those questions of who and why and where this person come from and why they're there, that are going to be important for us as a community and as a nation.
Community activist and the sports administrator Adrian Donovan says 56 individuals representing 13 sporting disciplines are being honored. He also outlined the criteria required for individuals to make it on the Christchurch Wall of Honor.
Let's look at sports now. Track action in the BSAC Championships 2026 begin today with the start of the zonal meets following the field events competition which was recently held at Harrison College. This year's BSAC is made possible through strong sponsorship support. And the sponsors gathered at the meet and greet at the ICBL headquarters. During that event, sponsors' checks were formally presented to the BSAC representatives as preparations intensify. And so, the estimated and Shane Brathwaite zone will be held today and tomorrow at the Usain Bolt complex, followed by the Frank Blackman and Shade Williams zone on Thursday and Friday. The finals will be held on the 26th and 27th of the month. That's a look at news and sports. Remember, Budget Day is today. Live coverage right here on TV8 coming up at 4. We're back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind them.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
10 after 7 now, the Barbados Defence Force is looking for you in a very strong way. Under the theme Cadetting and Youth Development, they're on a recruitment drive. So joining me this morning to talk a whole lot more about it is Commander Carl Farley of the Barbados Cadet Corps. Good morning to you, sir. Good to have you as always.
Good morning.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Corps is Major Pedro Drakes. Mr. Drakes, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Pearson.
And you've brought a couple of cadets with you as well.
Yes,
and
please.
First off, the young man across from me is Romario Jackman, who is just a cadet under officer, but the senior cadet officer is Christian Seeley. Good morning to both of you as well.
Good morning.
Let's start with you, Commandant. Talk to me a little bit about what you're looking for and the work of the Cadet Corps in this recruitment.
Okay, so Pedro, Pearson, as we seek to improve the numbers of the Corps, as a mandate by our Prime Minister to increase the numbers, we have realized that we need officers, or we need adult supervision. It doesn't necessarily have to be an officer. We look at the various models, because we do have to maintain a ratio of officers to cadets for safe supervision. We need to have X amount of females officers to supervise the females. And in the past, we've used the model of the school teacher, which I was privileged to be part of in my early days before I went to the private sector. I was a teacher who volunteered. But now we find ourselves in a situation where we have officers who are aging out. We have very few of the younger officers. Succession planning has stumbled a bit. And in order to maintain the initiative and to continue to have a vibrant cadet corps, we need to have the supervision.
Right.
So we're reaching out to adults, responsible adults who are prepared to be committed and dedicated to give us some support. Join the organization or volunteer to support in other ways.
And it's so important now, Major, because the government is saying now what used to be extracurricular is now becoming a core part of the educational curriculum. And so more pressure, so to speak, comes on you now to be able to build up your core and to have the resources that would help you do what you're doing. Talk to me about that recruitment for resources in terms of leaders and support people before we talk about the boys.
Well, Pearson, basically, this is a clarion call to all Barbadians who would wish to serve within the Barbados Cadet Corps. We, like any other organization, we need to have continuity. And as the Commandant mentioned earlier, we have stumbled a little with the continuity and those persons that we require to provide the leadership, those mentors for our young youth. We need those persons in Barbados to consider it a national duty in volunteering their services to become officers, because we need those persons to assist with the program.
So how can I come to assist you? What do I need to do to say, I am putting my hand up, I can assist?
Yeah, you can raise your hand up. The minimum requirement is 5 CXCs for persons who wish to be commissioned officers. We also are looking for persons with specialized skills who may be able to assist us as we are seeking to expand. And we would need those persons in the specialized areas. For instance, we are seeking to develop a cyber unit and a drone unit a little later in the year. And we would need persons with those type of special skills that would be able to guide us and assist with providing that leadership to the Cadet Corps.
So anyone watching who says, I have that, I have the will, I want to, how do they do this? They contact the Barbados Cadet Corps? How do they do that?
Well, we are open to having members who are interested, persons who are interested to contact us at the Barbados Cadet Corps. Also at the Barbados Defence Force, our HR department, which is the department that would do the processing for those individuals. Of course, you know, we will have to do some vetting, but basically the Barbados Cadet Corps and the Barbados Defence Force expressing their interest to serve in the Barbados Cadet Corps.
Senior Under Officer Christian, you've been in this for a little bit now. I've met you last time around, and so talk to me and sell the benefit of becoming a member of the Cadet Corps.
The Cadet Corps, personally, for me, has provided me with skills like leadership, for one, is one of the biggest ones. It also helps with character development, so with confidence, self-deportment, right? And I believe that once you've joined the organization, you do benefit even outside of being a cadet. So like in your personal life, there are still some, I would say, some principles that you learn through the organization that carry through all the way through your life.
There's some disciplines in it. And have you found so, Romario?
Yes, we have.
Talk to me about your benefits now.
The Cadet Corps has allowed me to develop a lot of skills such as punctuality. It has also developed my public speaking skills and boost my confidence. It has also opened my eyes, for example, like the Major said, at camp we have certain persons coming in and have us go through some robotics, drones, and also stuff like map and compass, field craft, drill. It boosts confidence, fitness, and overall develops you as a person.
How long have you been a cadet now?
I've been in cadets for 7 years, joined in 2019.
And no regrets?
No regrets, none at all.
And so, Major, this recruitment drive is on. Do you have a deadline, or is it constant recruitment?
We would like to have as many persons as possible, so it's going to be continuous. We would like to have some persons in to commence training in May. Obviously, we would have to provide that training for you, and we are going to do so in a hybrid format. So some will be online, some will be in person, and the last phase of it will include a residential 2-week phase, so that persons can be cultured and trained up to the way the military operates in providing that leadership and mentorship that we require for our youths in the Barbados Cadet Corps.
And so we want to see more than just the marching band that we see at parades. There's a lot happening behind the scenes, so to speak, as they meet and they train and they get themselves ready. And so, Commandant, the future looks bright, but the future can grow dim if we don't volunteer and have more people come by to assist.
And that is correct. And we are looking at our model. Across the globe, let's say the UK, there's a facility for other types of volunteerism. You have what is called the civilian instructor, who's a person who does not necessarily want to be in uniform. A doctor who will come and teach our medical unit, or a nurse, a musician who will volunteer to help the band. We have a catering unit, so we can get a chef. So down the road, we're looking at that, because that model works pretty good in the UK. We also have the adult instructor, who is for instance, maybe go across the region, or sergeant majors, so our schoolboys, cadets. But the other islands, let's say St. Lucia, brings an adult who carries the same rank. So we get more adults involved. So we have to change our model, because if we can't get the numbers of officers, then we have to do that.
There's a lot happening for us, and so we're seeking your assistance by stepping up to volunteer with the Cadet Corps indeed. And so you go through the BDF, you can contact the HR department there. They'll be happy to point you in what the direction you need to go, and then the process begins. But if you have the time, then you can give back to the Barbados Cadet Corps through the BDF indeed. Gentlemen, I want to thank you, and I wish much success, you young men as well, in your future endeavors and your careers. And the discipline looks good on you. Just continue to be young and impactful members of our community. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
General, salute! Reason! On! Stand still! The flag!
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories, and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind the scenes. Scold is a window to everything that is there or is yet to come. Fly with us through time to better understand today and tomorrow. You've always wanted.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 20 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Let's go across the seas to Trinidad and Tobago, where there's action happening. There have been states of emergency. We've been hearing some other mouthings coming from Trinidad and Tobago. Questions have been raised around CARICOM about what is Trinidad and Tobago's position on CARICOM. And we thought the best person that could point us and help us understand what's been happening in Trinidad is the senior producer and journalist from Guardian Media Limited, in our good friend, Doris Polo. Doris, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year. It's been a while that we've been together, but it's good to see you indeed. And so,
yes.
The last time I saw you, I was watching you chase down our Prime Minister while at the recently held CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in search of an answer and a response. I'll start there. Talk to me about that CARICOM meeting, and what do you think, what sense did you get from that CARICOM meeting about the workings of CARICOM?
So, wow, you took me back to a couple of weeks ago. You know, that moment with Prime Minister Motley was a crucial one, and that's because of the opening statement of Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar at that CARICOM meeting, deviating from the norm, which was speaking about unity, the typical conversation among the CARICOM chair, the outgoing and the present one. And she really criticized the Secretariat, and she raised serious issues on that platform, which of course, as I'm sure Barbados would have reported, she suggested that there was some sort of involvement by a CARICOM country as it pertains to the so-called kidnapping of a Trinidad and Tobago national, a businessman, firearms dealer, Brent Thomas. As you guys know, he would have been in Barbados when he was deported back to Trinidad and Tobago, and that led to some legal action in our home country. But to answer your question directly about, you know, the workings and the inner workings of CARICOM, it was my first time actually covering that conference, and it was a bit different than I would have expected. A lot of closed-door meetings, and you had to really just pull prime ministers as you saw them around in the lobby or just around the CARICOM meeting room. But a lot of the conversations we weren't really able to be a part of. So we had the U.S. Secretary of State present. There was a moment where even Caribbean journalists weren't really allowed to be in the room. And then Prime Minister Motley was the one to say, you know, no. If we have the U.S. press corps, then we need to have Caribbean journalists there. And so we were allowed for a brief moment just to get the opening of his comments, and then we had to depart and get, you know, information on the sidelines about what we discussed, especially in, you know, bilateral meetings as well. So it was really packed discussions, but you know, most people left saying the usual political language that CARICOM remains united. But of course, some leaders left before that final caucus where conversations, serious ones, were meant to be had, including Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister.
You know, your clip chasing our Prime Minister for a comment became viral. Everyone around the world shared that one clip. It was a moment in time. But all the while that this was happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm sure conversation was happening on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. So on your return, what were Trinidadians saying about, one, your Prime Minister's speech and how they felt about it, and just how they generally feel about the success or the continuity of CARICOM?
So again, in Trinidad and Tobago, you'll have mixed views split down the line of political allegiance. People in support of the government, and of course, it's not been a year yet. The United National Congress won the election in April. So they're still in the honeymoon phase where people in the country were very grateful that they had, and especially supporters of the United National Congress, that the Prime Minister was bold enough to call out CARICOM. In fact, when I looked at my emails while I was in St. Kitts and Nevis, a lot of the emails from the ministers of government were just coming in from the Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Land and Legal Affairs, Ministry of Homeland Security, everybody was sending emails in defense of the Prime Minister's speech, in defense of her position, in defense of her even getting the opportunity to have a bilateral meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And on the ground, the supporters, I mean, they were very happy that the Prime Minister was there representing Trinidad and Tobago. They were looking forward to what sort of sweetheart deal would have come out from that engagement. And of course, in later conversations with our Prime Minister, she would have revealed she, along with Guyana President Dr. Irfan Ali, were both invited to the Shields of the Americas Summit, which went on March 7th. But on the other hand, people on the ground were criticizing that speech. They were criticizing Trinidad and Tobago's representation at CARICOM. They said it was not, the statements of the Prime Minister did not reflect the general consensus of the people. That was from the opposition leader, Penelope Beckles. And also on the ground, people were expressing some sort of shame at criticism leveled against CARICOM. So it was really divided across the line.
Mm-hmm. Your Prime Minister painted a picture of a mix of so much happening there in her speech as well at CARICOM, as it relates to crime and violence, as it relates to an influx of Venezuelans and managing migration and a whole host of other things, as for the reason with the relationship with the United States of America. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because I now know that you also there was a recent announcement of an extension of the state of emergency. So talk to me about how Trinidadians generally feel about this, the state of emergency being once again imposed, and that relationship of Trinidad and Tobago with the United States government.
So again, split down the middle, but it's very interesting because at the CARICOM heads of government meeting, the Prime Minister praised the United States President Trump for their support in the fight against narco trafficking, which she acknowledged played a tremendous role in Trinidad and Tobago's crime problem ultimately. However, she failed to acknowledge that there was a state of emergency which had expired, but of course SOEs typically demonstrate a reduction in murders. But to give the government credit, we had one of the lowest crime rates when they got into office. We went from 600 plus to just around, settling around 400 when they got into office in April, owing, of course, in part to two SOEs, one that was initially imposed at the end of December 2024 by the PNM, and then the other in July that was imposed by the government now. Now they are split, people are split, because just, I would say, I think it was the day before, a soldier was gunned down in central Trinidad. And this is in the midst of an SOE. Now, of course, we do not currently have a curfew, but there's some people are dismayed because, you know, in the midst of an SOE, the murders are still climbing, and we don't necessarily have the type of detection or preventative policing that we would like to see based on the additional powers given to officers. 373 people, when the Prime Minister last spoke in Parliament on Friday, have so far been detained under the SOE. But, you know, when you hear murders, even if it's just one, people are questioning its effectiveness. On the other hand, some people are saying they're tired of the crime problem, and they believe that the government should be even more rigorous and perhaps even implement this curfew in order to arrest this problem. Now, in Parliament, there was a debate, even though the SOE did extend 26 people in favor, 12 against, the opposition did not support it at all. They said that the country cannot be governed and policed simply by an SOE. They're calling for a real crime plan from the government. And so we look to see what's going to happen in the next 3 months as we continue to live and thrive, despite a state of emergency.
Did Kamala Persad-Bissessar talk about the outcome of the Shield of America's meeting at the ranch, I would say, in Florida? Did she make a statement about it? And if so, what did she say was the outcome of that meeting?
So there were social media, messaging coming from the government telling the nation that the Prime Minister was going to deliver a very important address, her first address since the Shields of America Summit on Friday in Parliament. And so we tuned in. Mm-hmm. And in her address, she spent a lot of time criticizing the opposition, even making suggestions that the Balizé House, as it is called, which is the headquarters of the People's National Movement, was funded by drug money and things of that nature. but there were no sweetheart deals announced, no major developments to report. Safe to say that there were conversations and bilateral meetings that she would have had in Doral, Florida. She would have spoken with the leadership in Paraguay, for instance, about Trinidad and Tobago's interest in becoming an associate member in Mercosur, which is the Latin American trade bloc. She also spoke about having conversations with the U.S. Southcom commander. She invited him here. She said he didn't necessarily say he's going to come to Trinidad and Tobago tomorrow, but he expressed some interest in coming before the end of the year. She also mentioned, having bilateral conversations with the secretaries responsible for energy, for instance, about cross-border developments with Venezuela, but tight-lipped, mum. No further details. Of course, Trinidad and Tobago has been a very vocal supporter of the Trump administration as well as a critic of CARICOM. So, in fact, her presence there was welcomed and also, a pleasant surprise to some because of how she had criticized the bloc prior to that. So, some would have anticipated or would have hoped for some definitive, tangible outcome from that meeting where, the population could say, this was what the Prime Minister was working towards. But it seems like things are still being ironed out because there were no definitive announcements coming from the government or the Prime Minister in particular, despite, her address to the Parliament on Friday, detailing and itemizing, all that happened when she was in Florida. There was no, tangible outcome, I have to acknowledge, coming out from those meetings.
Well, clearly we have to keep watching and waiting to hear if there is. And so, talk to me a little bit about how Trinidadians felt generally about the deployment of U.S. military assets and placing them literally on your coastline. And then we saw the actions that were taken subsequent to that of the blowing up of boats in the space between yourselves and South America. How comfortable or uncomfortable have Trinidadians been with that level of military exercise there?
Really, it depends on who you ask, because if you go to Maracas, where, two Trinidadian fishermen once lived and on their way back to this country, according to their relatives, they disappeared. And it was on that same date that there was a strike. And it is believed that, according to their relatives, they were on that vessel. For them, the United States military are murderers. To them, they were responsible for extrajudicial killings. Due process was not followed. To them, that was an atrocious incident. They will never be able to speak to their loved ones ever again. For others, people who lose their loved ones as a result of gun violence in this country, they will support anything that will ensure that the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the people they love, the people they care about, are safe. But of course, it's a very fine line now. There was a story recently that finally revealed who advised the government, the Attorney General, that the killings in the Southern Caribbean, just outside our territory, were in fact extrajudicial or not. Now, Trinidad and Tobago signed on to this counter-cartel coalition at the Shields of the Americas Summit, but it's unclear exactly how we will involve ourselves in that coalition. The government is saying that whatever they're going to do, it's going to be lawful. But if you are suggesting, based on your advice from a UK King's Council, that the killings in the Southern Caribbean were not illegal, did not, transgress upon international law, it's left to be seen how Trinidad and Tobago will involve itself and whether the nation would be accused by others of being involved in similar actions. But across the board, locally and on the ground, some people are criticizing it. Some people are saying due process must be followed. The United States military ought to engage these vessels or to ensure that these individuals have their day in court. And for others, it's just one of those things.
We just have to wait and see. And by the way, congratulations on your anchoring position on the weekend at CNC3. Well done. Yes, I'm keeping abreast of what's going on with you, Doris, indeed. So well done. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you as always for joining us on Morning Barbados at the drop of a hat to respond to our questions as to what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. We really do appreciate your insight as a senior reporter, political analyst, always on the politics beat. And well done yet again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peyton. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Doris Polo is her name, and so media is her game. She does it so well, and she's excited to report to us what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're happy to hear from her every time we have the opportunity. We're taking a break here. We're back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind the scenes. Scold is a window to everything that is there or is yet to come. Fly with us through time to better understand today and tomorrow. You've always wanted that. Scold, a look into the future.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're happy now to be joined by Taylin Osario, who is a doctoral candidate of applied anthropology at the University of South Florida. She's also a Fulbright scholar. And so she's taking a look deeply into understanding the experiences of deaf and autistic youth in Barbados. And as you can see on your screen as well, we have Paula Medford, who works with us as she's interpreting with us every night, pretty much here on TV8 in our news. And so to both of you, I say good morning.
Good morning.
Taylin, talk to me a little bit about this subject that you're studying, and so far, and basically why have you chosen to look at the understanding the experience of deaf and autistic children?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a long story. So to put it in a short way, I have a lot of experience working with deaf folks and working with autistic folks, and disability specifically has always been kind of my niche as far as, you know, thinking life term, the things that I want to work on, the communities I want to support. I very much align myself with more of like advocacy type work. And so once I got into being a sign language interpreter, right? So I got my bachelor's in sign language interpreting. I started working at the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind. I was also working at the universities doing educational interpreting as well. And there were just a lot of things that I was seeing. And I've always been the type of person to ask, why do we do the things we do? And so in those spaces, I was asking a lot of why questions that people couldn't really answer. And that's where I then decided to go into applied anthropology within my master's and now for my PhD.
In all that you've just shared with me, have you seen the relationship between parents or other supporters to the child or the person who's deaf or hard of hearing in terms of being able to communicate?
Yes, so it is a kind of a tricky and very complex and nuanced situation. Roughly globally, 95 to 98% of deaf and hard of hearing children are born to hearing parents. And because the population is such a specific population, oftentimes hearing folks don't actually even meet a deaf person until their baby is born. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes a question of how to provide the best care, particularly around language acquisition and development. As we're born, we immediately have access to language. We're sponges, right? We're soaking things in. When it comes to being deaf and hard of hearing, if you're deaf and hard of hearing from birth or soon after, sometimes it gets kind of lost. It's not something that gets noticed until maybe a few years later, and that can be really detrimental. You're already going to have issues of language delay or language deprivation that ultimately will impact development, especially around academic achievement like literacy. So with those situations, it really is a matter of kind of understanding the best practices, which are usually as soon as possible early language intervention, whether it's working with the deaf community to expose the child to deaf adults that can start signing with them from the start, while also you learning sign language and being able to communicate in different nonverbal ways.
There are many factors that would either expedite or delay the parents' decision to say, I will get help for my child, because my child needs, I need to, and my child also needs to be able to be a part of. In your study in North America and in the Caribbean as well, in little old Barbados, what have you found to be some of the nuances, the differences that would delay or speed a person up to expose their deaf child to the opportunities?
Yeah, so again, oftentimes a hearing person will meet, the first deaf person they meet is going to be their child. So then it becomes a matter of trusting in the professionals around you. Historically, within hospitals, oftentimes the professionals will provide more of a medicalized approach. So cochlear implants, hearing aids, speech language pathology, a lot more of those kind of oralist interventions. But we are starting to see a bit more of an inclusion towards understanding deafness from a sociocultural and linguistic minority perspective, which then allows for professionals like myself to also advocate for bringing deaf individuals into the lives of the children, learning sign language, whatever that signed language is within your region, within your country, and then also working towards creating accommodating and adaptable environments for things like education. So what are the schools that are available? Are there interpreters available? And things like that. The nuance with the Caribbean is that a lot, in the US too, but especially in the Caribbean, a lot of those services the infrastructure is just not there. A lot of those services don't exist, not on a scale that we would need.
Okay. In your study of understanding those experiences of deaf and hard of hearing children in Barbados and autistic youth as well, what do you see that causes you alarm?
Well,
you can say nothing if you're serious.
So right now I'm still kind of working through a lot of spaces, so there's not a whole lot that I can divulge on yet. Maybe another session of Morning Barbados down the road. But one thing that I do find fairly alarming, particularly or fearful, I am fearful of, is around actually the disability policy. And the reason why I'm fearful of it is because without implementation, you cannot have enforcement. And you need infrastructures in place. You need programs, training. You need the human services, the professional and qualified human services to implement the law to then enforce it. And as I've mentioned, Barbados, including the Caribbean, overall as a region, we don't have that infrastructure. So now that the disability policy has passed a year ago, right, it's still a matter of how can this be implemented in the way that it's meant to be, to also ensure that we can enforce it appropriately.
So who takes the next move to ensure that we can implement it properly? Who are you expecting to take that move?
So I think that, it takes a village, right? I truly believe that is a sentiment that should be applied to all spaces, whether there are children involved or not. There are plenty of community organizers here. There are professionals that I have met that are a wealth of knowledge. There are parents, family members, kids themselves that are really wonderful resources to understand how to implement things and the logistics required for these things, right? Because we can always put our rose-colored glasses on and say, idealistically, this is what we would like to move forward with, but how do we do it in a way that will provide success the first time around, right? And so I do believe that a lot of that takes real, true, cross collaboration across communities, not just a focus group here and there one interview here and there. I mean, true collaboration where the table is full of diverse peoples across the community and government spaces throughout the entire process, from policy creation to enforcement and maintenance.
That's a whole generational change that has to obtain indeed.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And so your best advice then, because we're having our budget presentation today in Parliament, your best advice to ministers and members of Parliament about what you think is absolutely critical so that we create the best environment for those who are deaf or hard of hearing or those who are autistic to exist and be a part of without feeling as though they are excluded from or stigmatized by. What would that best advice be?
Listen to deaf folks, listen to autistic folks, to be honest. I think that it's one of those situations where it seems like it might be very difficult or it might be challenging. It's really not. It's pretty simple. And the reason why I say listen to them is because when we think of expertise, we think of qualifications and degrees and experience, right? But the experience is always last. Deaf folks, autistic folks, they have the experience, they have the lived experience, the knowledge, and they understand and know what is a reasonable accommodation for them. Also, it should be these kinds of infrastructures and practices, including with the budget, should be informed through more of a universal design approach, where we have accommodations that we're providing for everybody, right? So providing closed captioning, for example, that's not just for deaf folks, but autism, ADHD, for example, they have language processing delays. So they truly benefit from having closed captions, right? Not just deaf and hard of hearing folks as well. So really understanding how all of these accommodations are not just for specific populations, they're for everybody, and everyone benefits from all of the accommodations provided to our communities.
You're quite right. And I think if we're going to be focusing on development, that's also a critical area on which we need to focus, if we're inclusive in that kind of way, and indeed. Tylin. I renaming you this morning. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. You've been a really good source of information and inspiration, I think, for those of our deaf community who need a support like yours. And because of your studies, we get a clearer and deeper analysis of really what's happening, what's their real life experience. And so we can understand better and make far better informed decisions.
Absolutely.
And put into place those things to have them be a part of our community in a very real, significant way. We see you, deaf person. We see you, autistic person. We acknowledge you and we honor you today. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And to you, Paula Medford, as well. Thank you so much for sharing the message in sign language to everyone. Thank you. All right. Morning Barbados breaks right here. We're coming back with more on autism in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Week after week, Scold presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind the scenes. Scold is a window to everything that is there or is yet to come.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So what started as simply a comment on our social media platform has turned into her being here with me on Morning Barbados this morning. We're talking about Tammy King, and if you recall, she posted and she talked about play. And I kept thinking, well, hold on, is that a service you offered? I kept asking, Tammy, is that a service you offered? Ready to let me know, and she did. Tammy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It is so good to meet you, and thank you for what you've created to include people with autism.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bowen.
You are very welcome, because we oftentimes assume that what we call able-bodied people who exist alone, but there's so many other segments of our community who are just watching through the window, wanting to play, just like all of us. And sometimes we have to provide that opportunity, and that's what you do. So talk to me a little bit about the services you offer and why.
So I'm a play therapist, and I look to assisting all children, but specifically those with autism. And it was inspired by my daughter, who herself has autism. She's neurodiverse. And even from when she was a baby, I kind of got a feel that there were some differences there. She would listen to music as a baby, but she'd rotate her wrists and ankles in time to the music, which I thought, oh, you know, that's very unusual.
It's different.
Yes, absolutely. And then as time went on, she wasn't speaking at the same rate as other children. She wasn't speaking at all, in fact, and she was non-verbal. However, she would look to interacting with other children, and she herself was actually communicating, but not using words. She was doing it using play, and that was my discovery, really, to realising that not only did she have autism, but also that play was the breakthrough for her, and by using toys, those were her words, where I was able to communicate with her.
Wow, and you thought to formalize it and to provide opportunity for other people who struggle at times with communication simply because either we don't understand what they're going through or what they're saying, or they themselves are saying, you don't understand me at all. And because you don't understand me, you're frustrating me. So talk to me about the process and what you do so that you're able to open up the communication channels for everyone to understand each other.
Oh, absolutely. So communicating with children, I think play is the first language. And from a very early age, children will play, and also adults as well. Many of us still have that knowledge of play, and some of us forget that. But once it's ignited within us, we then have easier communication, we have a freedom, a sense of being, and it really does help to lighten the load. Now, as a child, to communicate with a child using play, I'll choose the modalities which they like. So some prefer bubbles, others like parachute play, especially within groups. Parachute play can be amazing. Others like to be at the beach and like to look at fishes in the water. So it's choosing what the child would like best. And I do have two characters called Breadfruit and Mango who I created to communicate with our children who are unable to use words. So Breadfruit and Mango came about because they're unable to speak. Yep, they're non-verbal. And so when I go into schools, I explain to the children, even though they can't use words, they can still communicate. So I open it up to children who themselves may not have met anyone yet who's non-verbal, but it gets them thinking, what other ways can we communicate with someone who is unable to do so using words? So Breadfruit and Mango, they're a great way for the children in play therapy to communicate. And play therapy, the sessions which I have are very structured and child-led. It's about what the child would like, how they would like to guide the session. And then with that, I work with the parents or with the teachers to see how we can assist, whether it be behavioural issues, if it's attention deficit, helping to lengthen the amount of time they're able to stay focused. Or it may even be there's been a change in the family dynamics. There may be a new sibling. So I help the child to address that, and we come up with a great solution, and I equip the parents and the teachers of how to take forward that child's progress.
Oftentimes we tend to become so afraid of the future for the child because the educational system has bookmarks that they have to meet, benchmarks they have to meet. And so as it relates to the formal education of the child with autism, it looks a little different. Does it?
Yes, it can do. And I say it can because if a child has speech delays or even processing delays, they will need extra time in exams, and it could even be that coursework, a course where there is, or exams where it's more coursework based, would be more suitable for them. So we need to be able to allow for that. And I'm really eager and hoping that Chad Blackman can include some sort of structure within the secondary school systems where the exams are very important for those children, so that those kids are identified and it's recognised that they need extra time and that they'll need adaptations with autism, with developmental delays. So yeah, here's hoping.
You're quite right. And I get scared sometimes when I hear developmental delays. People attach a very negative connotation to it. And it doesn't have to be negative at all. No. Because in that moment, or wherever they are in that scale, they are brilliant. And so we need to take time to acknowledge the fact that they are brilliant. They're making very meaningful outcomes with what they are working. And so if you're able to measure that meaningfully at that point in time, you celebrate those wins with them. And as they advance, you realize, you know what? They're just like anybody else. They're just not as fast as everyone else. But then again, who is fastest? All of us, we are delayed in whatever way is possible. So we need to shift our mindsets in my head. And so play therapy allows us to understand the language of the child. But language often needs definition. So I know the word T-H-E is the, and you place it here and you don't place it there. In play therapy, for an autistic child, is there a designed language, or do we just experience it as it goes?
We experience it from the child. So it may be that they like to line up blocks, and in fact that's quite something that many children with autism like to line things up. And so we let the child do that, and then being with them in that moment, accepting them, accepting that they're wanting to line them up, it gives the child such a sense of belonging and strengthens that relationship, the parent-child relationship. And then with the child, we could even then make a slight variation. We could build the blocks up high and then knock them down and then have a good chuckle about it. And it's that sense of being that the child really enjoys. They're being themselves, and we're delighting in that child. And just the parents having a bit of time each day playing with the child, it really does help make an immense amount of difference.
When the child recognizes that in being themselves, I am not being hit, lashed, chastised for being myself, you find the growth and development moves even faster. And I think that's so important. And it's really good time spent with the child, because now you begin to live it through their own experience and have a greater appreciation for. And so play therapy is one. You've had mango and breadfruit.
Oh, yes.
So are you saying to people at home then who find themselves having an autistic child but are ashamed to admit it, one, to self or to others, that perhaps they can begin to foster that relationship by crafting the kind of play in the way that the child drives it and appreciates it? Are you suggesting they do, or should they come to you, the coach, and say, take care of this child for me? What do you want them to do?
Well, what I do, I actually encourage the parents to come along and join in the sessions with me, because that way the parents and the children can enjoy the sensation of just playing, being relaxed. And we have parachute play sessions where many of the parents get involved as well, and some even dive underneath the parachute with their child. It's a large sensory parachute, and it's something that suddenly they get a real sense of fun that they may have been missing. When we have children, when we give birth and we have our children and we realise, or we have a diagnosis of autism for our children, suddenly it may feel like there's a weight on our shoulders and we forget how to laugh and smile at times. So I'm here to remind those parents, no, we can, let's keep that sense of fun. So yeah, if they contact myself, I can definitely guide them through, but I'd also encourage them as well, just have a few moments to play each day with their children.
Just a few moments to play each day with those children. We shared with you the contact details of Tammy, and I hope you took note of it, because I'm sure, and the number of people who are diagnosed with autism is changing in Barbados, it's shifting. And I say all the time, autistic people are brilliant people. Their view of life and order of life is so different from ours, but it's done in such a cute, different way. I say that because I have the experience. And so, I'll share that story with you off the air. But I want to encourage you as much as possible to reach out to Tammy. Tammy King is her name. Can we share the contact details again, if we can, so that you can see how to reach out to her to see how play therapy really can help you have that experience. Look at your screen. Look at your screen. It's at Play Therapy with Tammy or playtherapywithtammy@gmail.com. Message her today. Begin the process. Come have that experience. Then you begin that communication channel with your child that you take home. And then everywhere you go, you will find that you have a far more engaged and engaging child. And I want to encourage you to do so today. So reach out to Tammy King today and let's begin the change. Tammy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure
Mr.
meeting,
Bode.
sitting, talking to you. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. We've come to the end, everybody. I thank you so much for joining us this morning. My little crew joins me saying to all of you, have a terrific today. Be the will of the Lord. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados. Good